The real estate market is telling us some pretty interesting things as we head into the spring market. But what does it mean for you if you're a buyer or a seller or possibly both? That's right, the market is actually telling us some pretty interesting things on what's to come. I know I've made a joke in the past that this is my crystal ball, but realistically it is. It helps me figure out what is the market doing and what does that mean for our buyers that we're currently working with and our sellers that are thinking about selling or that we're also working with. So we're going to dive right into that. But first, my name is Kinn. I've been a licensed agent here in the DFW Metroplex for 21 plus years. And I've helped over 3,000 families buy and sell real estate. And I'd love to do the same with you, or at least get the opportunity to talk to you about what you're doing or thinking about doing and how we could possibly help. So we're going to dive right in. The numbers are telling us these interesting things like, what are prices doing? Well, a lot of people in the media are saying that prices are falling, that they're under pressure because of high interest rates. Well, realistically, the interest rates have stayed about the same for about 6 months now. They've stayed in between that 6 and 7% range. And as realistically, if we look back 50 years, is 6 or 7% high? No, it is not. And right now we're sitting at 6.5% versus last month we fluctuated between 6.5 and 6.75. So it's not necessarily high, it's just high from our recent memory of 3% interest rates a year ago, pretty much at this point. And then in April of last year is when interest rates really started taking off because inflation numbers started to really take off. But our pricing hasn't really been affected. Matter of fact, the prices on average are the same, literally within hundreds of dollars, both on the median price and the average price for Tarrant County in March. And if we go year over year change, we're only down about 1 to 2%, depending on if you're looking at average or median price. So again, pretty much the same on a year over year basis, which is actually good. They're not down 5, 10, 15% like some people expected it to be. It's literally a carbon copy of what we had last year, except we do have that little bit higher interest rate. Now, inventory is one number that's really it made me go, whoa, like, holy cow, the inventory levels are continuing to decline. Month after month after month, we're declining. We're at 3,566 homes available to purchase in March. Remember, we always look 1 month back. We're always using Tarrant County because it's the biggest county in the area. 6 months ago, we were at 5,100 homes on the market. So a 30% drop in inventory. And we're definitely seeing that affecting the markets for both the buyers and sellers. Buyers are now having to get into multiple offer issues again. So they're having to pay over asking price, maybe cut some things out that they normally would want in their contracts. We warned about this a couple months ago. I hope some of the buyers out there took my advice and got into properties before we saw it come to fruition, which it is happening. Now, sellers, they're overjoyed. We actually had 3 sellers go under contract this past month for more than the list price. And the list price was at the very high point of the market. And we can do that because there's simply no inventory that they're competing with. Plus, our marketing programs and the ability to market that property to the masses has helped create higher demand on their home. Month supply hasn't changed one bit, so we won't really talk about that. But closed sales has. We are actually up 25% over February. 2,074 closed homes in March versus 1,652 in February. And let's do something unique and go back 1 month prior to that. January, 1,116 homes. So we're almost double the closings that we had in January to March, which is telling us the market is heating up, not cooling off. And only more of that says that it's going to happen or stay the same because pending sales are actually up. We had 2 months in a row with about 1,850 pending sales. Last month it was 1,833. This month, though, we're up 300 of those at 2,155, so 17.57% up. What does that mean? That means that homes that are going on the market are going under contract faster. We're getting multiple offers, prices are going up, inventory's coming down, so it's just going to create this inverse supply and demand issue, regardless of interest rates. We have limited supply. That means we're going to have higher demand, and that means we're going to have higher prices. And the days on market flesh this out too, because the days on market are actually dropping like a rock. 25 is the median days on market. Compare that with the previous month of 36 days on market. That's a 30.56% drop. Now, I always like to look at median days on market versus average when we're talking about the days on market, simply because the average includes every home. And you could have some homes that were severely overpriced or maybe severely in need of repair, to put it nicely. So what those do is those build up huge days on markets, and when those finally sell, it contributes to the overall average. If we use median pricing, it throws out those big number, 600, 700 days were a couple of the sales of days on market, and it gives us a more accurate number. And we're seeing that the days on market was only 25 days on market on a median. That's down 30.56%. 6 months ago, the average days on market were 17 days on market. But remember, we were just swinging up to that high interest rates. And you'll see in the next coming months how those days on market started climbing, 4, 5, 6 months ago, simply because the market wasn't prepared for the interest rate hike. It wasn't prepared for the overinflated inflation. And what happened was it affected housing pretty strongly. Now, because we're getting used to this 6% to 7% interest rate, buyers aren't as concerned. They know at some point interest rates are going to fall, or we hope so. But everyone I've talked to says, hey, within a year to 18 months, we're going to be back in the 5s again. And some have even said as low as the 4s again. I don't know about that, but if we get into the 5s, there's going to be a whole slew of people that'll just be refinancing. So go ahead and get into your house now, knowing that maybe a month from now, a year from now, 6 months from now, you can refinance that rate and get a lower monthly payment, and the home becomes more affordable. Obviously, don't overpay to get into a property today, but buy what your means are comfortable with. And then if the rates drop, that's even more that you can apply towards principal or have just for extra spending change. So hopefully you see that what's happening in the market is going to affect you both as a buyer and a seller. And they can be positive for both. But it is something that you do want to take some action on, especially if you're a buyer, before things get even worse and we have even less and less inventory. And now you're competing with more and more people that want to get into those homes, especially as we move into the summer market. Hopefully you enjoyed this. If you would, please like and subscribe my channel. It really does help us out tremendously in getting this to more people, because I want to give you the real information of what's happening in the market, not just what you hear from the local media that is trying to fear you to death. We don't like that. So please like and subscribe, and I thank you for being with me here for a few short minutes, and you have a blessed day.